What if we've never been alone? Not in a metaphorical sense, not in a spiritual sense, but literally, in the cold, vast, indifferent universe. What if something else is out there, watching, waiting, or simply existing in a way we haven't yet figured out how to see? For decades, the idea of extraterrestrial life was dismissed, laughed at, shoved into the corner of conspiracy forums and late-night radio shows. But something has shifted. Governments are releasing classified documents. Scientists are using words like non-human intelligence in congressional hearings. And the math, the pure, unforgiving math of the cosmos, is starting to make the question feel less like science fiction and more like an inevitability. Today, we're not talking about grainy UFO footage or alien abduction stories. We're talking about 5 of the most compelling, scientifically grounded theories that suggest alien life doesn't just might exist, it almost certainly does. And some of these will change the way you think about everything. Let's go. Start with a number: 2 trillion. That's the estimated number of galaxies in the observable universe. Our own galaxy, the Milky Way, contains somewhere between 100 and 400 billion stars. And around most of those stars, planets. Billions of them, hundreds of billions in fact, exist in what scientists call the habitable zone, that Goldilocks region where liquid water can exist on a surface. Not too hot, not too cold. In 1961, an astronomer named Frank Drake sat down and tried to calculate the probability of intelligent civilizations existing in just our galaxy. His equation, now called the Drake equation, factors in the rate of star formation, the fraction of stars with planets, how many of those planets could support life, how many actually develop life, and how many of those develop intelligence. Even with the most conservative estimates, the math spits out a number that is not 0. It spits out hundreds, maybe thousands, maybe more. The universe is 13.8 billion years old. Earth is only 4.5 billion years old. That means there have been civilizations with a multi-billion-year head start on us. Stars that burned out before our sun even ignited could have hosted entire species that rose, flourished, built empires across space, and went extinct, all before a single human being ever drew breath. The scale of the universe isn't just big. It's incomprehensibly, violently, almost offensively big. And to look at that scale and conclude we are the only result, the single solitary output of 13.8 billion years of cosmic chemistry, isn't science, it's ego. But here's where it gets uncomfortable. If the universe is so vast, if the math says other civilizations should exist, then where is everybody? This is the Fermi paradox, named after physicist Enrico Fermi, who, during a casual lunch conversation in 1950, asked a deceptively simple question. If they're out there, why haven't we heard from them? The silence is strange. We've been broadcasting radio signals into space for over a century. We've been scanning the skies with massive radio telescopes, listening for any signal, any pattern, any whisper of intelligence from beyond our solar system. And so far, nothing. Or at least, nothing we've confirmed. One of the most haunting answers to the Fermi paradox is called the dark forest theory. Imagine the universe as a dark, silent forest. Every civilization is a hunter moving through the trees, armed, alert, deadly quiet. Because here's the problem. You don't know what's out there. You don't know if an alien civilization is friendly or hostile. And in a universe where the gap between a Type 1 civilization and a Type 3 civilization could mean the difference between throwing rocks and collapsing stars, the safest strategy is silence. Don't broadcast, don't respond. And if you detect another civilization, eliminate them before they can eliminate you. It's brutal, it's cold, but mathematically it makes sense. This theory doesn't argue that aliens don't exist. It argues that the silence itself is evidence that they do, and that they're intelligent enough to stay hidden. The forest isn't empty, it's just very, very dark. In October 2017, something entered our solar system. It came from interstellar space, the first object ever confirmed to have originated from beyond our solar system. Scientists named it Oumuamua, a Hawaiian word meaning scout. And the more they studied it, the more confused they became. It was shaped unlike any comet or asteroid ever observed, estimated to be flat and elongated, some calculations suggesting it was hundreds of meters long but only a fraction as wide. A pancake, a cigar, a shape that doesn't naturally occur in space rocks. Then it did something that broke the models entirely. As Oumuamua left our solar system, it accelerated. Not because of any gravitational pull, there was nothing to pull it. Not because of outgassing, the standard explanation for comet acceleration, because there was no observable tail, no gas, no debris. It just sped up, on its own. Most scientists scrambled for natural explanations: hydrogen ice, radiation pressure from the sun acting on an unusually flat object. But none of these explanations fully satisfied the data. Then Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb, one of the most credentialed astronomers on the planet, published a paper suggesting what many were afraid to say, that Oumuamua's behavior was consistent with an artificially constructed object. A light sail, perhaps. A piece of technology from another civilization. He wasn't fringe, he wasn't a conspiracy theorist. He was the former chair of Harvard's astronomy department. And his conclusion was simple: we should not rule it out. Oumuamua left our solar system before we could study it further, but its behavior, its shape, its trajectory, its unexplained acceleration remains one of the most legitimately mysterious events in modern astronomy. What if the scout already came, and we weren't ready? For most of the 20th century, if you said you saw a UFO, you were crazy. End of conversation. Then something changed. In 2017, the New York Times published a bombshell investigation revealing that the U.S. Department of Defense had been running a secret program, the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, dedicated specifically to studying unidentified aerial phenomena. The program had been officially shuttered, but the footage hadn't. 3 videos were released, officially, by the Pentagon, showing real physical objects tracked by military-grade radar and filmed by infrared cameras, performing maneuvers that no known aircraft, drone, or natural phenomenon can perform. Objects accelerating from 0 to hypersonic speed with no visible propulsion. Objects rotating against the wind. Objects hovering for extended periods and then vanishing instantaneously. Navy pilots, trained, credentialed, sober professionals, testified under oath, not on conspiracy podcasts, in front of the United States Congress. In 2000, named David Grush, testified before Congress under penalty of perjury that the U.S. government has, in its possession, non-human craft and non-human biological material. He claimed that a multi-decade program of reverse engineering extraterrestrial technology exists and has been deliberately concealed from congressional oversight. That's not a YouTube channel. That's a sworn congressional hearing. Now, this doesn't prove aliens. Grush could be wrong. The UAPs could be advanced foreign technology. There are still enormous questions. But here's what we can say with certainty. The official position of the United States government is no longer, "these things don't exist." The official position is now, "we don't know what they are." That shift, from ridicule to acknowledgement, is seismic, and it happened fast. The final theory isn't about distant galaxies or government cover-ups. It's about life itself, and how wrong our assumptions about it have been. For most of human history, we assumed life needed very specific conditions: moderate temperatures, liquid water, sunlight, oxygen. Life was fragile. Life was rare. Life needed a place like Earth. Then we started finding life in places that should have been dead. Hydrothermal vents at the bottom of the ocean, pitch black, crushing pressure, superheated water, teeming with bacteria that had never seen sunlight. Microbes inside nuclear reactors. Organisms surviving the vacuum of space on the outside of the International Space Station. Bacteria living inside solid rock, 2 miles underground, breathing sulfur instead of oxygen, completely isolated from the surface biosphere. We call them extremophiles, and they've shattered our definition of what life requires. Now look outward. Europa, Jupiter's moon, has a liquid water ocean beneath its ice shell that may contain more water than all of Earth's oceans combined. Enceladus, Saturn's moon, is actively venting water vapor and organic molecules into space through geysers. Mars has evidence of ancient flowing rivers, lake beds, and, recently confirmed, subsurface liquid water. We are not looking for life in exotic, unlikely places. We are finding the building blocks of life: water, organic chemistry, energy gradients, everywhere we point our instruments. And here's the key insight. Life on Earth didn't start easy. It started 3.8 billion years ago, almost as soon as the surface cooled enough to allow it. Life didn't wait. Life didn't hesitate. The moment the conditions were even marginally permissive, life exploded into existence. That suggests life isn't some cosmic accident that happened once in a trillion. It suggests life is what chemistry does when given the right ingredients. It's almost a default state of matter under the right conditions. If that's true, and the evidence increasingly suggests it is, then the universe isn't mostly empty, it's mostly alive, in ways we haven't yet learned to recognize. 5 theories, 5 separate lines of evidence, logic, and discovery, all pointing in the same direction. The math says we can't be alone. The silence says something intelligent is hiding. A mysterious object accelerated through our solar system with no explanation. Decorated military personnel are testifying under oath. And life itself is far more resilient and far more common than we ever imagined. None of this is proof, not yet. But the question is no longer whether the universe could host other life. The question is becoming, why haven't we figured out where it is? And maybe, just maybe, the answer to that question is the most important discovery in human history. Subscribe if you want to be here when we find it.